All right, Nicholas, bear with me a little bit. I got asthma pretty bad, so if I cough and hack a little bit, I apologize. Let me show you some things you can fix in your model. So far, what you have I like. Actually, I think you have a good start here. There are some things definitely need to be edited. For one, and I mentioned this before in the last video, get rid of the square effect that's kind of happening here in the arm. Also, the hands do need some work. There is some weird topology happening, and you want to keep your hands pretty simple. And yours are to an extent, but they are losing volume. They're losing the added details that need to be there for fingers. And for every joint axis point, there's going to be about 3 edges that you want to mess with. And let me show you a model that I'm currently working on real quick. And before I do that, though, actually, let's look at the face, and we'll get back to the hands. For the face, I'll click on her face for a second here. This is not bad, especially for your first face. But be careful not to hit that 3 key and thinking that's an accurate display of your model. You'll notice some things do change and shift a little bit as I hit 3 versus 1. Your edges do need some work around the eyes. You have isolated edges, and some of your edges seem to keep going. So if I double click on 1, or 2 I should say, this is good what you have started, but there are some areas where it'll actually keep going all the way through, and this you do want to avoid. And a good way to avoid that, and we'll go to my model now, is you want to be able to have that banding type of look going on, almost like a bandit mask. So when you have your edges, and mine has a little bit of what yours has just because I started making it, but you want to have it so it has this kind of effect. Let me see if I can grab this guy. We have the loop, but we also want to have the mask. Now mine needs a little bit cleanup, but you can actually see, I'm going to put another edge in here. I want to actually cut, and I'll do this real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. We'll do the multi-cut tool. And I want to cut right around here, and you want to put kind of a mask take on your model. And I need to spread these out. I'm just doing this generically, so bear with me. And as you do this, this gives kind of a mask effect. I would pull up my other scene, but for some reason 2015 and 2016 in your file do not like each other, and it actually messed up my computer. I had another video I made completely crashed. So you want to put this here, and the reason why, you actually can control your edge loops a little bit better. Now I did this generically, of course. Let's go and use the target weld tool. This is actually a pretty nice tool. It'll actually meld these guys, weld them together in the middle. And as you make these changes, you can go in here and slide your edges. So I'm going to go in here and make some more room because it's getting a little crowded there. So I'm going to slide this edge across, or down below. And to do that, we're going to use the slide edge tool. This tool is actually really cool, right below our sculpting tools that they have now from Maya. And how it works is you click on it, and let me open it up again. Looks like it failed. And we'll grab this guy. Oh. Grab this edge. Mesh slide edge tool. Middle mouse drag. Having some mouse problems today. There we go. Let's get it back. Middle mouse. My middle mouse wheel button is on its last leg. So middle mouse drag for the 4th time away from that area, and then I can also do it individually. So if I need to spread these out individually, it actually works pretty well. But I wanted to show you that. Oh, we got a one area we need to fix real quick, and that's a target weld. I'm being the anal art director here. Don't want those around here because they're just harder to mess with. Now be careful also of the diamond shapes. I know you get a lot of those. Those are easy fixes, believe it or not. So you can just go in here and reshuffle your edges, and like voila, it's fixed. And just double check it's not poking through or pinching into that skull, so we can push that out a little bit. So those are some of the things you can do, and I'm actually going to go in here and move this edge real quick. I'm going to slide this one up real quick. And they can actually help your scene a little bit and help your development for your character. And I'll raise this one up a little bit there too. And they can actually help you also control the edge flow of your character. And the nice thing about the slide edge tool, you actually can concentrate on a region too. So it doesn't have to always go around. Actually can work pretty well, kind of almost pinching and moving in the right direction. Now this guy needs to be slid a little bit there. It's all sorts of weird mouse stuff today. And you want to keep your edge flows consistent. and equal distant as much as possible. Now, in a perfect world, it would be great if they were consistent like that, but they don't always do that, and I just moved that a little bit there. Let's actually go to this one and slide that across. And what I'm doing is keeping my edges evenly away from each other as I model this out. So let's go back to yours real quick. So you got to be careful of this. That's one reason you want to make that mask, because then you can really watch where your edges are going. The ear does need a little bit of work. So what you can do is start out as a box. It's always a good way to do this. Now I made about a 20-minute video on how to do this. I'm going to make this a lot shorter because I don't have a lot of time tonight, but I want to help you as much as possible. So I'm going to make a quick box here. I'm going to grab him. I'm going to V-snap him to the location of our dude here, our girl. Excuse me, madam. And the theory behind this is you just want to divide this up like maybe 2, 2, and 2. So height, width, and depth. And when you build this ear out, you also want to flatten the areas that you know they're going to get closer to the skull, because if you look at your ear, it's actually welded to the side of the skull. It's actually not welded. It's connected to the side of the skull. So this area right here is going to be a lot thinner. So I'm going to go and hit the R key and thin that out, and keep in mind, note to yourself that you're going to weld that eventually. And then we need to get the shape down. So we go into here and we want to grab some of these edges. I've done this lecture so many times, it's crazy. And we'll go to the edges here, double click this guy, and I'll hit the R key and I can open it up a little bit ahead of time. And then now, if it's pointed, you can play with some of your features, but I'm going to basically just get the shape down first of this ear. And then again, you just want to make edges as you go. A lot of people make the mistake when they make their ears or other aspects of their character that they automatically will need edges everywhere, and you don't want that, because yours kind of comes to a point, and you got to be careful with that, because that makes it really hard to edit. If you keep it as a box, then stitch it later, things can be a little bit easier for you. And I can go in here now and grab the faces that I want, and I'll just make sure we're not selecting anything else. And from here, you can extrude them inward. I'm a little confused there. They keep changing Maya's icons. As you extrude it in, you can push in a little bit, and then we can extrude again if we want to. Scale that down and push that in a little bit there too. And then now we can cut as we need to. So say I need more definition here, I'll just do an insert edge loop going across. With that across, I can go in here and form a better shape to it by grabbing the vertices and manipulating them. And you'll do that as you go, and then you can really play with this a little bit and get kind of the shape that you want. Maybe I'll just do this generically, so we'll just pull this down. Maybe we want this to look a little bit more organic, so we'll pull that in. You see that right there? So you actually can play with this, and it makes it a lot easier. And now you can actually start making the dynamics for edges across, the small edges, like the indentation for where the ear actually is pushed in. So I can go in here and isolate this some more. Let's do the insert edge loop again and say I want it to be pushed in right here maybe. And I'm being really lazy and not hitting my icons to help myself out. And we'll do another insert edge loop here. And then remember, as you cut, you want to move. If you just cut and don't move, you're kind of modeling without a purpose. So maybe I want to add a little more funky sharpness to that. But I also want these to taper off. I don't want them to get too sharp, look too thick in some way. And then now I can go in here and I can maybe extrude this guy, but I can do it maybe smart here by grabbing all 4 sides of these guys. And actually, let's see the points here. So you can play with this and maybe even make this a functioning kind of pseudo, even though it's square, we can make it kind of a fake, almost generic low poly circle. And from here you can start pushing in, you can add faces, you can extrude inward, whatever it is that you determine based on the ear. Not every ear is made equal. So again, I just wanted to show you that, how to start that out. And from there you can keep it pretty simple, and any pieces that go across on the ear, you can even grab a section of them, extrude it, and even scale it down a little bit. I'm going to do this on the world axis point. And you can push that out a little bit there, and you can get that kind of thickness going. And if you want, you can weld these two together to give it a little bit more of a believable type of shape. And it's a matter of just pushing and pulling. I'm sorry I can't get that a little bit. I can't make that a little bit longer lecture, just due to time. I don't want to make this video too ridiculously long. All right, so let's take a look here at the hand. So the hand you got to be careful with. Hands are tricky, but not impossible. I've always had a tricky time with them. Sometimes they come out great, sometimes they come out really horrible, and I have to fix them really, really quickly. So here's a hand here that I have, and this hand's pretty simple. I don't like this guy, it's just a basic mock-up, and I'm going to be fixing him, adding more detail, and I'm going to make irregular quads on the back of the hand so that these edges don't go all the way down and up the arm. To me, that's bad. I hate that. So what you need to do is go into here and make irregular quads. So if we go back to yours real quick, we look at it, you got a lot of edges and they just keep going up the arm. We want to make as least amount of edges as we can, and what you would do is, and I think I mentioned this before, if not, I'm sorry about that, I might have forgotten. We're going to go to vertices here, and we're going to go to the target, again, weld tool. So these edges don't go all the way up the arm because they can make things dense and you may not need it. You go in here and you can weld this as you go, and you'll have these irregular quads. Now I would grab this guy here and then make it an irregular quad, and if you remove that edge, that becomes an irregular quad. And you just weld it all the way down. I know it's kind of a pain in the butt. I'm in the middle of doing that right now. And that actually, believe it or not, can make it cleaner, and you can control your edges in your pieces a little bit better, and you can avoid some of that cube stuff that can show up as you're sculpting and getting stuff together. Now, I also noticed there's a weird manifold geometry issue. I was trying to sculpt on your model during one of my videos, and it told me that there was errors on here. So use the cleanup tool to check your model to see if there's any problems. That guy is found here. When you do use the cleanup tool, don't let Maya clean it for you. Just say select. And what happened was I selected non-manifold, and it selected this region here and somewhere in the butt, I believe. So what happened is you might have welded this and not realize that these two pieces were intersecting. So be careful with that. Also add some edges here. Put 3 edges here, 3 edges here, 3 edges here, 3 edges here, and that's for rigging purposes. And watch the sharp point that's coming through, and it really starts going really far out here. So clean that up. I think that's about it. And don't be afraid, you can actually put a boot lip on here if you wanted to. And be careful for areas that bend that you don't get these sharp diamond triangles. So you can move these around just by shuffling points, which you saw me do with the face. Alright, also real quick, the hands here, again, give your fingers volume. Notice each knuckle that I have here has a full shape to it. I would pull up my other model, but again, I'm afraid I might run into another crash. And notice the edge loops around the thumb keep going around, and you can actually triangulate or make an irregular quad. Now, if you're animation, irregular quad. If you're games, you're going to triangulate. Why? Because games requires a lot more optimization, and in movies, you can get away with higher polys, so that you want to keep things irregular quads for the most part. If you're not sure how to do this stuff, if you're still not quite sure, there's a good website, which I'll show you real quick. This website's awesome. When I teach at the Academy of Art, you didn't hear that part. I show them this. This is called hippiedrome.com. Let's hopefully this shows up. It uses a Yahoo search, what I hate. Oh, awesome. Horrible website. But as a lead character artist at Pixar, he's got some great stuff. It's really kind of a pain in the butt to try to navigate. He's not a web designer, that's why he does the models. And you can see some really cool theory stuff that I showed you. And you can see it, the fingers have the same kind of volume mine have, and you'll see also irregular quads in the back of the hand. And that's to prevent a messiness going all the way up the arm. Notice the volume of the shoulder. This is what I tried to show you in the first video, is you want to keep that volume of the shoulder and define the bicep as it rolls into there. I still see you're kind of missing that. And again, you have concentrated edges where there are bending and deformation areas all the way through the hand. All right, that's it. Hopefully this helps you out. Let me know.